I know that a lot of people have traveled from far and some people have traveled from close by, but Red meant a lot to all of us, and he certainly touched all of our hearts. So today is about celebrating his life. And we've got a few people who are going to speak, and then we'll get on to some other things as well. So without further ado, Dick, I'm going to ask you to come up and say a few words. Dick has known Red for many, many years from the Chicago Board of Trade. And they go way back on many adventures.
All right, I think I've got it. First, I'd like to welcome everybody, too. I've known Red for way too long, and I never thought I'd be at something like this today. So if I get choked up, it's because Red was one of the most fabulous, unique people I've ever known. And you only find a person like Red a couple of times, if you're lucky, in your life. He was beyond belief. He was a lot of fun, and I've been a wreck since I got the phone call. So anyway, I met Red on the CBO floor, Chicago Board Options Exchange, and from there it was a wild ride. I met Benita, his lovely wife, early on, and if you look at the picture in the living room over the fireplace, that's that young lady, beautiful as ever. So anyway, with Red, you never knew what to expect from Red. We had a lot of fun trips, a lot of good times, and sometimes in the mail, I get a box, and it'd be from Red. And you'd open the box, and it was all these treasures. I mean, has anybody here ever gotten one of those lamps with the leg, the woman's leg? I have one, and Red gave it to me. And I don't think any of you have ever probably received a Mercedes-Benz grill. I've got that. Or a moose on skis. You probably didn't get one of those either. Those were some of the few things that, not few, a lot of things he sent me over the years. Every one of them was a true treasure, and I passed a few on, but not those. Those are the best ones, and I kept those. And, we'd talk every week or so, and it'd be, read Red. That was the start of the conversation. Then he'd want to know what cars I was driving or had bought, what auctions I'd been to. It was all along that. And then one day, we were talking, and this goes to Ray, too. He's another person you all should have in your life. And he said, have you seen the movie Secondhand Lions? Raise your hand if you've seen it. Okay. Ray's going, that should be you and Ray and I in that front porch with the shotguns. We'd fit right in. The only thing it was lacking was good-looking women. But I looked at that and I said, yeah, but I don't know if I'm the lion or if I'm Robert Duvall. So I'll have to work it out. But that was one of the things. And I've got these cards for notes, and I'm probably not going to go through all of them, but give you a second here. Yes, and while you give me the second, think of all the fun times you had with Red. Because with Red, it was like you were family. And it's like walking in this house. I feel like I'm home. You don't get that everywhere. And Red, I never saw him angry. I mean, think about that. How many of your friends, you've seen him going in a rage, their wife was wearing his skirts or something. It's always something along those lines. Never saw him mad. Never saw him depressed. He was always bubbling away, jokes, fun, everything you can possibly think of. And again, I miss him terribly. That's not good enough. So in Friends, I did pull out the Webster's dictionary. The one that's like this. And in Friends, they had seven sayings, things for friends. And I looked at that and I said, none of those are good enough for Red. Except for the one that said you had to be affectionately related. And I said, no, I don't think so. We've never kissed or dated. But it didn't do the man justice. All right. Got that one already. I may have had it all here. I got them all. Oh, the back side of one of these cards had my list of Kalan Sigur. And over the years, I've traded a lot of Kalan Sigur to Red, which then I got to drink for free, which was always good. But anyway, I'm not going to keep babbling on here. He was a fabulous human being. If you find somebody like Red or Ray, you want to hold on to them for the rest of your life because they're fabulous people, and you'll never find somebody better. And then I look at all the offspring out here. Wow. They had the luck to know Red from the day they were born. You don't know what a treasure that is. Man, was wonderful. So anyway, thank you. Thank you for all coming. It was just a wonderful time with him. Oh, one more thing. Where's my drink? Here's to Red.
Dick, thank you. And I think Dick said it really well. When Red, one of my most fond memories of Red is he was always happy and you walked away a friend no matter who you were. Thank you, Dick. Amanda, who is Red's granddaughter. Gosh, sorry. Red's granddaughter has a few things to say. For those of you who know Alex's daughter.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I'll chalk up to the new mom brain. I cannot remember a whole speech off the top of my head, so I wrote it down. So I realized that we all knew Red in a different way as a friend, neighbor, a partner in crime, a husband, a father, an uncle, a grandfather, and a role model. Today I wanted to speak about how we as grandchildren knew our papa. So I was the first to have the honor of calling Red my papa. Some of my earliest memories are of the two of us out in that shed. And so he would be working on one of his many projects, and he would give me a small piece of 2x4, probably about that big, with half-hammered nails in it, and then hand 4 or 5-year-old me a hammer and said, "Go for it, but just don't tell Grams." That's how many of our adventures went. So as I grew older, I continued to help him with his projects, being a shadow and building really big fires. And the fire department only showed up one time. My favorite thing.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yours. Oh, no, you needed oil.
That's a story for a different time. My favorite thing about my papa was that he was everyone's biggest cheerleader. So many times he would brag on Grams and say something like, "Did you know that Grams has climbed all the way to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro?" And every time Grams would say, "Well, you were there too." So he loved bringing attention to everyone's accomplishments. And more times than not, he would have been with you every step of the way while you worked to achieve your goal. My little sister, Stella, shared the belief that a good outfit could make or break an evening. So every night that we stayed here at the farm, Stella would help Papa pick out his dinner ensemble. And after the perfect outfit was chosen, the two of them would put on a fashion show. And after that, they'd blow the dinner horn as loud as they possibly could to let the entire town of Rutledge know that dinner was ready. Delaney admired Papa's go-getter attitude. As we all know, he was quite the adventurer. So whenever there was something to get into, he wanted in. Whatever the activity was, he would jump right in and join the fun. If you wanted to go on the paddle boat, he'd get the life jackets. If you wanted to go feed the cows, he'd help you find the bread. On Kenzie's visits to Oreo Farm, she loved helping Papa with his long-running list of projects, whether it be delivering Christmas goodies to neighbors or feeding the cows. Kenzie would jump in with all of her enthusiasm to help. A favorite memory of hers is when Papa put a slice of bread on the horns of the Scottish Highlander cows, Barnum and Bailey, and together they would watch the rest of the herd chase the cows all around the pasture to get the bread on the poor cows' horns. But we weren't the only ones that Papa took pride in. The honorary grandchildren. Brandon. They shared a love of the George Bulldogs, and they both had the gift of gab. They could talk for hours, and often did. Brandon loved to sit with Papa by the fire and listen to his boring stories. At the end of every story, Papa would sing, "Those were the days, my friend, I thought they'd never end." And then he'd be quiet for a few seconds and say, "I have another boring story." And the cycle would continue over and over again. Matt Meyer built the kayak today that we're using today for our Viking funeral. He was always showing off your latest projects. Papa thought the kayak was the coolest thing. While you were building it, we were constantly getting updates on how his new kayak was coming. He was so excited when it was done that he had everyone try it out at the lake. I believe Kinsey was the only one who was able to actually stay upright for long enough to actually call it riding in a kayak. And after that kind of a failed adventure trying to ride in the kayak, he hung it right there on the porch, and every time someone would ask, he'd talk about this great kid from Illinois who built him a kayak from scratch. Jimmy Clare. He admired your ambition to learn new things and readiness to jump in and help wherever needed. You two shared an enthusiasm for life, and that is hard to come by. I think he saw a little bit of himself in you with your ability to see opportunity in every situation. He bragged on you constantly, and he was so very proud of you. And although Henry, who is thankfully napping right now, he won't remember Papa, but he'll know all about him. Papa was so excited to finally add a boy to the family. After 4 granddaughters, Brandon and I hope to teach Henry how to celebrate like Papa, how to work hard like Papa, how to have fun like Papa, and how to love like Papa did.
Thank you, Amanda. I think you said it well. There are life lessons we all learned from Red. Ray Meyer, also a CBOE friend of Red's for many years. And I will hand over to you.
Hi, I had a prepared statement here telling me all about some of my times with Red. He's an amazing individual. I knew the name Red Sheese before I actually met him. In the winter of 80-81, it was a cold, hard winter. Red was in Florida working on a house. Tony Saliba and myself went down to meet my new roommate, who I was told lived in the ladies' dressing room of the Kellogg Mansion. I was fortunate, and I got the laundry room, which had a sink in it, big time stuff. At one time, we hoped to be emperors of the world. Said at the time, when we finally got down to Fort Lauderdale to meet Tony, Red came out to meet Red. Red came out of the building with purple stain all over his torso. He said at the time the spiders were terrible down there, and this kept them away. I knew, hands down, Red loved to travel more than anyone I ever knew. Nothing like a good road trip. In 1982, we made our first cross-country ride in a 500 SL Mercedes Tony and Red had purchased together. We started along the way, and he saw Dick Reed and a fellow named Steve Penner. I'm going to have some sidelights on here. So, Steve Penner is the guy who met Benita through work and told Red one day, "You should meet this girl Benita. She's really hot." So anyway, as we traveled further and further to San Diego, Red moved his return date up a little bit, and I volunteered to drive the car back to Scottsdale, where it belonged. Along the way, Red and I stopped to see Dick Reed, our other friend, who was in Taos building a new house. Dick was already bored with the project after being there for a while and decided to join us in San Diego. Shortly thereafter, Dick's wife, Christy, flew in from Chicago and the party was on. I didn't realize at the time that this was a nucleus of a small group of friends with whom I would stay close for the rest of my life. Excuse me. He somehow managed to find wives who would fit right in and get along with everybody. Benita McDaniels and Barb Groves. We were playing way over the rim when we found these two, but yet they fit in. They were the best things that ever happened to us, hands down. Red's story on that drive he had a lot of stories, one more interesting than the other. Red was the eternal optimist, rare to swear, rare to let a trading mistake ruin his day. I said, I don't know if anybody remembers Superior Oil. Just before they opened up the OEX pit where Red ended up trading for a while, they apparently, I think we had a stock called Superior Oil, and T. Boone Pickens was the guy that Red had always thought would buy it. By the time it was bought, Red had blown millions of dollars. He made millions of dollars back on it. I finally asked one day, I said, did you make any money in Superior Oil? He said, yeah, I'm a scratch trader in that baby. Real estate was another one of his interests. He was always looking for the next great deal. Probably the one thing that was a surprise was how well he got along with kids. He loved Alex and Kathleen almost from the get-go. Our time together over the years, I learned all about about their comings and goings, what his nieces and nephews were up to. My sons knew him as Uncle Red. He was a mentor to both. He volunteered to help Ross in his Leadville mountain bike races. There was a guy Matt would call to chat with if he needed advice. Matt had an oral agreement with Red to build a kayak. And actually the kayak was used by him about like one time up in the lakes of Wisconsin. Turned out it was a little bit top heavy for any adult, which we thought it might be. And at the end, when he drove it back here to hang below his house, he put it in his back of his van, left the hatch open, and drove the whole way with the hatch open. I said, Red, are you nuts? He said, no problem. He had his earbuds in. There are dozens of other. I'm going to tell you a couple other she stories. I wrote a bunch of stuff down here. I don't know how many I'll get to. And there are dozens of she stories out there, which I could have you people in stitches tonight. Just remember Ralph as you knew him. Whatever fits. Family man, friend, entrepreneur, trader, traveler, farmer, mentor, market maker, runner, Mr. Tequila, veteran, lover of old cars. Lover of old cars is a story. He called me out one time and said, what kind of Mercedes would you have if you wanted one? If you were going to buy one? He said, Matt said a 1980 SEL. So lo and behold, next time we're down here, we go in the garage, and there it is, the original rust bucket. I've never seen a car in worse shape, in all honesty. The seats were gone, eaten by the mice, and whoever had it first. He was a veteran, a lover of old cars. He was Vince Mancini's best buddy. Those of you who know Vince know who Vince Mancini is. He's the bartender, longtime worker at the Italian Village. He is also my best buddy, a maker, and he was a maker of snow angels. Thinker of big thoughts. As Dick said, there's been a hole in my heart ever since he died. I was so much surprised because I'd seen him in autumn. He was nice enough to come out to the Covington Airport when I was flying home for my vacation, and he looked so good then. Benita said, remember him as he is, Ray." Little did I know that would be the last time I saw him. I used to talk to him every week. He'd call and he'd say, "Ray, keep calling me back, okay?" And I'd say, "Oh, sure, Red, you're the man." And unfortunately, he didn't call hardly at all in the month of September. And next I knew, I had the awful email, beautifully written by Benita, but the awful news that Red had passed. Anyway, Red, you're always going to be in my thoughts. I love you, buddy. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Ray. I think Red is in all of our thoughts and all of our hearts. Tom Bine, who is Red's sister's daughter's husband. I get that right? Has a few words to say.
This is quite a perspective. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Red and Bonita's nephew, occasional live-in, and kindred spirit. Over the past few weeks, I've had the pleasure of collecting and reading Who Was Red from many of you. So who was Red? Ralphie. Husband, father, brother, uncle, friend, mentor, Eagle Scout, adventurer, deal maker. Yep, Red was all of these things and more, much more. Some would describe him as the life of the party. My analogy would go something like this. If you've ever had a screwdriver slip off of an outlet cover and end up in the hot side of the socket, that's a feeling that stays with you forever. And I think once we were drawn into the magnetism of Red's orbit, we never forgot him, and he certainly never forgot any of us. During the 30-plus years that I knew Red, he taught me, countless things. He taught me how to trim palm trees, how to grade a driveway with a pallet and a brick, and, of course, how to mix and consume the ultimate margaritas. But the big things that Red taught me boiled down to just a few, and I think of them as Red's life lessons. So, what advice would Red share if he was here today besides enjoy the party? I always wanted to have a Viking funeral. Hey Google, play Red's advice. Number 1, be generous. Number 2, don't take yourself too seriously. It's entertaining to be outrageous. And Red was the master at poking the snake and standing back and watching the fun. Number 3, friendships are meant to last a lifetime. Number 4, live every moment of every day. And number 5, the final lesson that he taught us was how to die with dignity and without complaint. In keeping with the ceremony today, I would like to offer a prayer to the old gods. Odin, hail, All-Father, one-eyed wanderer, come sit at my fire. Tell me your wisdom stories, the scenes your missing eye sees. You who chooses the slain, look on my deeds, and when my time comes to run the sky with you, let my end be worthy of a song. In the meantime, let me feel excitement and poetry, fury and joy. Let me understand sacrifice. Think long, remember well, and journey far. Goodbye, my friends.
Thank you, Tom. And for our concluding speaker today, Kathleen.
You all are a really tough act to follow. All right. So Red lived a big, adventuresome life, and I'm so happy. I'm not going to be able to do this. And I'm so happy to have been part of his world, and to see all of you who here today who also were part of his life. As you guys did this much better than I did. As he made his way, making friends, making deals, exploring, offering advice, Red left a mark. Maybe he was your partner in adventure, a friend to call with good news or tough news. I learned there are no crazy ideas. Work hard and play hard. Trust your instincts, and to have fun doing it all. Not only did Red leave his mark on people, but also here at Oriole Farm. How did you get through this? So, as I have spent time here this year, it is impossible to miss the spirit of the life Red lived. Yeah. This summer, I was in the workout room on a rainy day, taking a walk on the treadmill. Ahead of me the whole time was a drawing of a bird trying to eat a frog. The frog is fighting not to be eaten, and the poster says, "Never give up." Whether running an extra mile, fixing a tractor, having one more Margot, or the million things in between, that is how Red lived his life. Never give up. Truly every day. So, be it your first or 51st time here, take some time today to look around. There's something that will inspire you, make you smile, remember an adventure together. Red, thank you for being the best. Thank you for leaving your mark on me and so many others. I will be forever grateful that Red loved my mom. Despite warnings to the contrary, I will also be forever grateful that he did indeed like kids. I was warned before meeting him the first time, and I think we were headed to see Ray at Tony's. I think we've had some discussion what this was, but Mom kept telling me, "You guys have to be on your best behavior. He doesn't like kids." So Red often said, and Glenn, you're going to have to correct me on this later, "Laissez les bons temps rouler." Let the good times roll. Let's make today good and remember a man who we all loved and will miss.
Let's remember Red for how he touched all our lives. This has been a tremendous view into how he all touched us. Many of you have brought some mementos for the day. We are going to, and I think Tom originally had this idea, we're going to have a Viking funeral for Red. And so we have Matt, as you heard from Amanda, built this kayak, canoe, what do you call it? Kayak. We are going to place all the mementos of Red into the kayak and float it out and light it on fire and have a Viking funeral. So what I would ask from each of you who is willing to do it, as we kind of work our way around the fountain, if you would be willing to share what you put in and why, we'd love to hear from you. So without further ado, Benita, I'm going to let you go first. And Tom and Alex, if I could get you to help load the canoe. Kayak? The vessel. I like that. The vessel. So, Benita, I can't go much further. I'm going to wreck this microphone. Come my way. So, what is your story and what do you have there?
Here's what I have is a shirt that I gave to Red several years ago, and it says 1 more mile, which was the way he did things. And a hat, which is Brandt hat, that he's had for years. In the slideshow, you'll see pictures of Red wearing this hat. And it was a trading firm that or clearing firm that he worked through. And anyway. And the third thing is, see if I can make it through this one. I used to make cards sometimes, and this is a card that I sent to him or gave to him on Valentine's Day of 2012. He gave it back to me for Valentine's Day of 2017, and I gave it back to him for Valentine's Day of 2019. And it says, even in a fairy tale where every dream comes true, I could never hope to find someone as loving as you. So that's it. Okay?
Thank you. Okay, Delaney and Kinsey. I think you have something. Okay, so explain what you guys have here.
Tell them what it is. Okay, so this is his ashes in a box. It's a box that we made, and it has a hot air balloon and cows. Sounds, yeah. So.
Okay, thank you. And L3. You've got the card next. And then after this, I'm going to have to go, whose is this? The card that's right there. Card bag. Is that right? Okay.
Perfect, thank you. So one of the things I've always loved about Red is his creativity and his generosity. So he used to always have these $2 bills that he would give as tips to people or presents to people. So one of the things I'm going to put in is a $2 bill for Red. And then another thing is his love of chocolate chip cookies. And I, myself, am a chocolate chip cookie connoisseur. So he liked to eat chocolate chip cookies every day that Benita would make for him. So here's one for the road, Red.
Thanks, Laura. Okay, who has a shirt?
Red spent a lot of time with us in Naples, so I was his co-thrifter. So we'd go to the thrift stores, and everybody has all these shirts. I guarantee you, half of them were from Naples. So we used to go there, and I'm a big thrifter, but and he was the best person to shop with. And so so I had a shirt, and then today, in his honor, after breakfast, we went to a thrift store, and the next best shopper to Red is Dick. So Dick saw this and started talking about it, and I grabbed it really quick because this looks like something Red would have bought to give to someone else. One of those random things that you might get in the mail and have no clue what it meant. So this looked like kind of like a Scandinavian Viking thing. So this was our choice gift together to put in the boat, and and a little bit of a mascot to wish him well, to thrift, and every time we thrift, we'll think of him. So.
Thank you. And if you've ever received the mystery gift in the mail from Red that you didn't know what the hell it was, that's Red. Okay, a black Hawaiian shirt. Ray sent him a saxophone one time.
On our way to Florida, we would always stop at Bonita and Red's, and we usually stayed in the guest room down the basement. And I would think it was maybe Bonita, not Red, that always said, "Look at the shirts in the closet and take whatever you want." So we have a lot of Tommy Bahama shirts hanging in our closet right now, thanks to Red. It was always a joy to spend our time there with him.
And if you haven't seen the closet, no joke, there's like 100 Hawaiian shirts in there. Okay.
Well, my husband and I came kind of late in the game to meet Red here. We've known him for about, I don't know, 4 or 5, 6 years, something like that. And they became fast friends. Rita and I became fast friends. And I just had some crazy pictures of Red that I printed out just in black and white. He's got his Department of Corrections jacket on here and his red hair, Bonita and Red, and my husband's got to go with him because they were friends, and they'll be friends up there.
Yes, they will. Thank you. We have a.
Okay, so I have a couple things. Red and I talked about cars a lot. Red, that'll be my whole life with cars, Red. Oh. 49 which I couldn't find when he was around. Look for one. This is a cracker I made this morning. It's got that everything that you have on your drinks. You seem to like it. And I grabbed a piece of hay from the field in a bale, and I thought that was appropriate.
Perfect. Thank you, Alex. For those of you who don't know, Alex was a commercial baker for many, many years and supplied like 3/4 of Atlanta with bread. What do we have? Oh, John.
Me talk? Well, there's a lot of little bits and pieces of junk in there. Red was my co-pilot. We lived through some very horrifying times together. Not only did we live through the best times, but horrifying. And he never let us give up. And we all lived. So I brought a shirt from the Steve Fawcett crew that Steve brought us all together. And that was when we first met this guy named Sheethy. We didn't really know his name, but man, did he know how to drink margaritas. And so as our friendship grew, I taught him how to fly hot air balloons. And we flew into Gordon Bennett in France. I think we finished 4th, 5th. And all of a sudden, I got one of those things in the mail. And I'm looking at this, and it was 5th place in the Gordon Bennett. And I'm like, there is no 5th place trophy in the Gordon Bennett. Well, when Red's around, there is. So then, we needed to fix the vote in the Balloon Federation of America to get some good guys in there. And at that point, they called me Jethro. And so we had to fix the vote. And I knew that if we got a guy from Georgia, he'd know how to fix the vote. And so this is very dear. Kathleen mailed that back to me about 3 months ago, and I was able to take a picture of it and mail it to Red, and we both laughed. And then there's, yeah, this is my favorite one. It doesn't really mean a lot. It's a notepad made of sectional charts. They're chopped up. I was horrible at reading a map. Red always put me back on course. And that's important. And then this is where Red always went to the bathrooms. They were the nice ones. And then here's a couple pictures of the balloon that we learned to fly in. I can't believe he's gone. Thank you.
John, thank you. And for those of you who don't know what the Gordon Bennett is, so John and Red flew in a balloon race that left from, John, was that Colorado or Albuquerque? Denver. The winner of this race got to represent America in a balloon race in France called the Gordon Bennett. And John and Red were flying in this balloon race. And by the way, the basket of the balloon they were in wasn't really big enough, so they had a trap door, and John's kind of a big guy. He like slept with his feet hanging out of the side of the basket. So they decided that they just needed to keep going as far as they could go. And by the time they got all the way to Boston, they said, well, we better drop this thing down or we're going to go over the Atlantic. So they won this race, and that's what qualified them for the Gordon Bennett race representing America in France. Okay, and next up we have, all right, Dick Reed.
All right, these are a couple of treasures. Yeah. This is a pillowcase with a cow on it. Hello. And we thought that would be perfect for Red. This is a wreath that if I was gone, I know Red would give to me. So, and I forgot one thing when I was up here earlier. I won't take long. It probably is. You can take a bite out of it. I think it might taste good. Anyway, when the CBO had it the 10th anniversary, Red said we had to wear it. They said you had to come formal. You had to have tuxes. So Red said, let's go get a tux. So we went down to 12th Street, Roosevelt Road in Chicago. Very interesting place. Rent it or buy a tux. We got in there, and I picked out a nice gray tux, white shirt. I said, Red, this is perfect. He goes, no, Dick. We got to get the maroon one with the pink shirts with the black ruffles on it. And I went, oh, my God. And I don't know where Ray was because he never bought one. We bought two of them. We go to the 10th anniversary. Harry Brandt with the cab comes up to us and he said, you know, people won't remember much from this event, but they're going to remember you too. So, and I wanted to bring the tux and put it on there, and Chris, my family said, no, you have to keep it. So my family's a little strange. Anyway, but they get therapy. So I didn't bring that, but I saw this and I said, perfect. Red would love it. So that's that story.
Thanks, Dick. You can give that to Alex. All right, we have a...
So these are additions from my family. A couple of days after, probably the day after Red passed away, Kinsey sent him a text. And it said, I love you so much and will miss you so much. You were the nicest person I ever met. You were so much fun and adventurous. You always made people smile, and you always had a smile on your face. You were the best papa in the world. I love you so much and will never forget you. So, here, take that little thing. I also have some Jimmy Buffett cover art. Because he always would say, Margaritaville, that goes without saying, but we played a lot of Jimmy Buffett. And I have a label from a Kalan Segur bottle of wine. He taught me, I think he was the first one. I don't know. I don't know who gets more credit, Red or Mark, for my wine troubles. Red started earlier. And then a T-shirt from the Rutledge County Fair, which was a year that we had probably the second Frolic on the Farm, where Mark and I invaded with friends and spent a weekend here and ran around town, some of us on feet, some of us on rollerblades. And he loved this town, and he loved having his home here. So those are what we have to add.
So, and Dick mentioned the Kalan Segur that he traded with Red over the years. It's still in the cellar there, so if you want to drink it tonight, help yourself. We have an elephant candle holder. Anyone? Okay, we're just putting that in. We have what looks like a trebuchet, maybe.
And a fishing lure. Where's the fishing lure? Okay.
Is that to you, Tom? No. A trebuchet and a fishing lure, maybe? Fishing lure. No. Trebuchet's you, fishing lure. No. Trebuchet, yes.
Okay. There's so many wonderful memories about Red. Anyway, one of them is that he did like kids. And my kids, when they were little, were amazed at all of this and him and you and the dogs. Oh, it's so fine. But one time he talked to them about trebuchets. And that conversation was really interesting and very impactful. And he talked about the conversation was something around whether or not a trebuchet could be built in Rutledge and how far we could lob watermelons, or maybe we were going to build it here and lob and kind of attack Rutledge. I don't know, but
aiming at blue and Hilda.
But anyway, so this is not a true trebuchet, but it was as close as I could get, and I don't know if it'll work. You gotta hold it really.
Yeah, see if you can hit Tom over there.
Okay, angle it here, and I've got two of these actually, so you can do twice. But 2, 3.
All right, we got one more shot.
It's gonna wind up.
I think we're backwards.
Oh, there you go.
I think something in transportation.
Did we get the ball?
Oh wait, it's down here somewhere.
I got one.
All right.
Okay, try again, otherwise put it
Wait, hang on. Put the pin in. There you go. Oh, here's the ball. Got another one. We got another shot. Tom, you're in trouble.
Open your mouth.
All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. Hey, wait, I got it.
Resembles red.
Wait, I got this. All right, Tom, you want to? Yeah.
My wife and I live here in Rutledge. We've known Red and Benita for a long time. One of my regrets is not having had or taken the opportunity to spend more time than I did with Red, because he's such a multifaceted character. And I don't know why this is the case, but I just say that there are a few people that I see when I look at Red and see these movies. There's a little bit of Robert Preston from The Music Man that I see as part of Red's personality. Kind of somebody who knows how to work it and there was Paul Newman from what's the movie? No, not Cool Hand Luke. It was The Sting.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of Red in that character, and when I came over here for the first time and looked out at this lake and saw that, it reminded me of Peter Boyle, although he didn't, but saying, "Putting on the Reds." So, Red, you know, there's a hole in my heart. I miss you. I'll look forward to getting together with you and that big tequila bar in the sky.
Thank you. Okay, the fishing lure. By the way, if you're absolutely freezing cold, you're not going to offend anyone by going to get a jacket.
Or both. Stella and I chose to add a fishing lure to the kayak because we spent so many days, lots of hours, fishing. Ow. Yeah, Papa taught us how to fish, but then he was always so kind to not make us touch the fish after we caught it. And at least once, every time we fished, he would say, "Okay, well, now that you're done harpooning me with the fishing lure." Yeah, so that was a favorite memory of ours, and one of the times that we got Stella to go outside.
I was going to say, it's not really my type of thing to be outdoorsy, really fishing or anything like that, but fishing with Papa was one of the moments where he'd have us get down and dirty and dig for worms and do everything like that, and I felt like he was kind of the only person who could almost make me feel embarrassed about being a little too girly and get me to really put my hands in the dirt, and I really appreciate that, and I think that means a lot to us in that sense, you know.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. By the way, the fishing derby record out here is held by Dave Brewers. 14 fish while drinking. But if you cast off the fountain to the left, that's where they all sit. Okay, next one. Couple limes.
So this is maybe not very creative, but hopefully rather appropriate. We got to know Red and Bonita through Kathleen and Mark, and we didn't have an opportunity to have a lot of the memories that you have had. We didn't know Red as well, but we certainly appreciated his love for margaritas when we were here, and since we didn't have anything from his life, we thought, we're drinking margaritas, they should go in the boat with everything else, hence the limes.
Perfect. Thanks, Sharon. And Sharon and Glenn are friends of ours from when we lived in Michigan. They were at our wedding. They've been down here to several frolics on the farm. So they've had the opportunity. Next is a Hawaiian shirt and a yellow card. A yellow card. Oh, it's a CD cover.
Yeah. My name's Ed, and this is my wife Michelle Bloom. We were neighbors of Red and Bonita in Atlanta, and I was in college at the time, and then as life carried on for me, I moved out to Lake Oconee, and sure enough, Red and Bonita are within driving distance in Rutledge here, and what a blessing that was that we could carry on together. Our memories are not so entwined with your guys' memories, but we have a total collage of memories of Red and Bonita, which, by the way, at our house, that's one word, Red and Bonita. Where you going, Red and Bonitas? Speaking of which, Red loved our son, too, which I guess he was probably 1 or 2 when Red and Bonita first met Red, and we did call the fire truck on multiple occasions, but not to put out fires. But to look for our son, who always was cooped up.
He'd disappear, and I had no idea where he was. And I thought, oh my gosh, some of these workers have taken off with my child. What am I going to do? I call the fire department, and the huge truck shows up. and 19 firemen, and then out walks my 1-year-old, 2-year-old Graves with Red. He'd been with Red the whole entire time.
Which is funny because I'm in construction, and of course here she is saying, "Oh, it must have run off with one of those workers." Right where they're going to point the finger every time, right? But anyway, Red and I never got one of these crazy gifts in the mail, but we did get a box of steaks one time. But I can't put them in the canoe, but in the kayak, because we ate them. And I will say, Dick, right? I borrowed that maroon tuxedo one time and wore it to the Fox. The good thing about Red and I, we're about the same size. But anyway, everything we picked this Jimmy Buffett. I didn't even know who Jimmy Buffett was until Red introduced us to Jimmy Buffett. But one time we were on a family vacation in I think it was St. Croix, and my uncle was treating the family to this vacation. I had all my young cousins there, and he would take us to these fancy restaurants, and I had no idea what we were eating. But somewhere along the way, we ran across this restaurant that said Cheeseburger in Paradise. It's like, let's get a cheeseburger. That's what we need. But anyway, Red was a wonderful neighbor and a wonderful friend, and we love him. And honestly, this whole deal was a surprise to us too. I thought that we would be visiting Red and Bonita for years to come, and but anyway, couldn't ask for a greater person in our lives. We're so thankful.
So if you actually look up, for those who've been around this property and know that used to be a big screened-in porch out there, Ed built that, what's there today, and the extension of the house. Thank you. And the work. And has done a number of things out in Lake Oconee to make it a better place. And for those of you who don't know, maybe you're from out of town, Blue and Hilda locals in Chilton Woods is right over here, the street that goes along there. They pretty much define Chilton Woods.
Well, we do, because Blue was the first person to move on the road back in 1969, and he actually named it after himself.
Well, I asked him, how do you get mail down here in the country on the dirt road where we live? They said, name it what you want to, so I got me some signs and put them up.
But Blue and Red were just, I love to watch them together. They just, it was just, we would have yard sales, and Red would bring all these things up to our yard sales. We never knew what he was going to bring to sell, and it was always so much fun. And we just loved him so much. In fact, the picture that Dina had with the Department of Corrections picture on there, when Blue had his 80th birthday party in Rutledge, Red was there, and he had on that outfit. So we never knew what he was going to wear. And so for his box, I've got a Hawaiian shirt. I have some tequila that I want you to open up and pour on the shirt before you put it in the kayak. And I also have, when they first moved here, we had a little Shih Tzu. His name was Cash. And he hated Red. Red would walk up our road, and Cash never... Red would come over to the house, and Cash would be like, rah, 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 rah. And so anyway, I have a box, and I have some of Cash's ashes in there to send with Red. And I also have some of our dear friend Pierre's ashes to send with Red. And we loved him so much, and we're going to really, really miss him.
Thank you, Blue and Hilda. And if you've ever been kind of wandered your way over to Blue and Hilda's house, just get ready to sit in for a couple hours and have a conversation, because they are wonderful, and they're going to bring out a little bourbon and a little hooch and have some fun. All right. Dave and Laura.
Okay. Before I tell you what I'm going to put in the canoe, something that wasn't brought up tonight was what Red called all his friends. pal. He called everybody pal. I'm going to Florida to meet my pal. I'm going to Chicago to meet my pal. And that's, if he calls you a pal, that means he's one of your buddies, your friend. That's pretty neat. But I didn't know Red, obviously, until I met Bonita, who I met through my wife, Laura. And what Red and Bonita did for me when I was younger, they gave me advice, some of the best advice in the world. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but if you want to come talk to me later, I'll talk to you about it. And that advice can be passed on to my kids and their kids and maybe your kids. And that's what Red did for me. He was a really special person, both Red and Bonita. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Is that it? Oh, Jimmy's got something. Jimmy, come on. Oh, we got a few more. All right, we got a few. Come on up. Molly's got a cow. I love it. Okay, Molly, let's tell us about your cow.
It's also from a thrift shop, and I painted it to look like a belted Galloway. I'm going to...
And for those of you who don't know, Molly is a local artist who's done some amazing things right here in Rutledge. Thank you, Molly. Alex.
I don't know.
Okay, does anyone claim this? Chris Jabel? Benita? Oh, all right. Hey, Chris, walk around the thing and see if you see yours. Okay, wait, okay, bring it. All right, there. We have a gift from someone not here. Jimmy.
This was one of Uncle Red's random mail things that he sent me. He called me when I was like 12 or 13 about cryptocurrency. Told me to do some research, and I didn't do much research, but just told him to buy it. And then we bought it, and he sent me this a couple years later, and we never sold when it peaked. And then we waited on it some more, and then we eventually sold, and he sent me this when we sold it. So I'm putting this to burn.
Did Jimmy tell you he's a billionaire? Scott and Chris.
So it's a little known fact that Scott and I professed our love for each other in front of Thelma the Oreo cow. So truly. So our lives, our married life, our everything kind of started here. So it's a long story. We're not going to tell it now. We'll tell it later when we're all warm and more lubricated. But we just have a few things. This is not that Red would ever forget how to make a margarita, but here's his recipe. We want to make sure. So that's going to go. And then here's Scott.
So this is that same shirt from the 5K that Kathleen put in. It really represents all the frolics that many of us came to here for New Year's Eves, 4th of Julys, and all the activities we did, from this race to the cardboard regatta to when Red rented a bulldozer and let our children... Yeah, you did. You won the cardboard regatta. There's a picture. You'll see a picture up here of Red pushing somebody in a cardboard boat. That's Chris. And we never knew what would happen when we showed up. One year, like I said, it would be he gets a bulldozer, and our kids, who are about this high, get to just like run down trees for a couple hours. And then the next year, the zip line's up. And you never knew what to expect when you came here. And we always had a great time. And this shirt is just representative of all those frolics that we were together here for. So,
Thank you. Thank you, Bonita. It's been awesome.
Thank you, guys. Okay, we think that's it, and everyone's freezing. So, is there anything else from anyone? Did we miss anyone? Okay. If we didn't miss anyone...
None of you know who I am, and that's okay. But Red, I'm Liam. I was a friend of Red's, and he was a mentor of mine. A grand mentor, if you will, because he was the mentor to my mentor, Fred Franklin. And so this is just some rosemary for remembrance. And so we'll put that with it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I've known Red since he
I guess since '98 or so when they built this house.
About right.
Yeah, and we were just kind of passing friends, but we always had a bond, and I love spending time with him. And I built the zip line here for him, and we just always had a rapport, and we were very different because you know, I don't make a lot of money and he did, but we always. I've got a trailer and 2 boats up here. He would charge me a bottle of tequila every month for rent. So anyway, so I've just got a little package for him here, and I'm going to put it on the boat. And that may be politically incorrect.
No, that's perfect.
It's a picture
It's
of
a Viking picture.
Viking picture that says rape and pillage on it.
And for those of you who haven't been on the zip line, it's kind of fun.